Alrighty, guys, and welcome to the March review tier list of the World Tour teams. Now, this is the first one we're doing. I apologize for not having done the first couple of months. It's been a bit crazy, but we're going to put all of these teams you see here at the bottom, all of the World Tour teams from professional road cycling, and we're going to put them in a tier list for how they did during the month of March. Now, I will take into consideration how good they're supposed to be. Like, I'm not going to value a stage win at the Tour the same for UAE as I would for Uno X. Like, if you get what I mean. Like, and a team that's targeting the classics versus a Tour is going to be weighted differently how they did in the classics. So it's going to be a little bit all over the place. Please do drop a comment if you think I've messed up anywhere. There's likely something I've missed. I'm only going to use, I'm using the major races. So Paris-Nice, Tirreno, Volta Ciclista Catalunya, those kinds of races, and obviously most of the cobbled classics. I might bring into account some things like Bartoli and stuff like that, but I'm not going to think about that too heavily. I'm going to talk about the major objectives that teams had. Now, the first team we're going to look at is Alpecin Premier Tech, and they've had an interesting month and not where I would think they'd want to be. Van der Poel had a struggle in San Remo. I mean, he got a win in E3, but of all the ones, E3 is not the most kind of prestigious of them all. Philipsen got a win in Flanders Fields. That has kind of saved them in a lot of ways. Philipsen also got a stage win in Paris-Nice. Van der Poel got a stage win in Paris-Nice, and Bassato got a podium place on stage 2 in Catalunya. But with this probably being their strongest time of year, realistically, like, they're targeting the clubbles. You've got Philipsen, who's obviously going to go to the Tour and probably, like, he's going to go to the major things and go for sprint victories. But Van der Poel, you'd want a better result through most of the cobbles is the basic thing of it. They need a stronger start to the year than that with what they target, because there's minimal around for them to pick up those major victories the rest of the year. So with that in mind, I'm going to put them in B, because they did still get a couple stage wins at Nice. They got a win in E3, a win in Flanders Fields. So they're probably on the border of A. But for now, I'm going to leave them in B and see how we go. They might get a late jump to A if we deem it appropriate. And now we're going to have a quick move on to Astana, XDS Astana. They've had an interesting one. They've been quite quiet, but of all the teams, you would expect them to be one of the quieter ones. They're not one of the massive budget teams that's going to go and win a Tour and stuff like that. So their expectations are a little bit different. They do look to pick up stages here and there and stuff like that, and probably points again this year is a massive target for them. But they did come out with a couple of decent results. I mean, all at Paris-Nice. Like, they were saved by their Paris-Nice performance. I don't have anything they really did of note outside of that. They got a win on stage 2 with Max Canter. They got a podium place on stage 5, and Tejada, who got that podium, also got a stage win on stage 6. And what a wonderful stage win that was. Looking back and watching that it was a good win for him, and a good win and a necessary one for Astana. So they had a really good Paris-Nice, but not much else, if we're being brutally honest. Like, for them, that was pretty solid, but I think you've probably got to put them in C. Maybe you could push them to B. But have they had as good a time as Alpecin? It's probably a harsh. Like, that's another one where we could move them up to B, depending on how the rest of these pan out. If there's teams that have done much worse than them, we'll probably bump them up. But they've had a solid enough time 2 stage wins and a P3 at Paris-Nice, and if that's what they targeted, then you'd say they've done their job. But if they've targeted other things as well, then they've fallen well short of that. So yeah, now we'll move straight into Bahrain Victorious. They had a very quiet time, except for Martinez. Martinez has absolutely saved their thing. Like, as you can imagine, I take a few notes of what has happened at each race for each team, and all of my notes are Martinez. Every single one of them. Martinez got a stage win on stage 8 at Paris-Nice. He placed 5th in the GC at Paris-Nice. He podiumed from P3 on stage 5 at Catalunya. He finished 2nd in stage 6 at Catalunya, and he placed 2nd in the GC in Catalunya, plus he won the white jersey. And I think he got 3rd in the white jersey at Paris-Nice, something like that. So, very solid, but very, very one-dimensional. Like, I know they're not going to go and target cobbled classics, which is the majority of what the time here is. A lot of the time, it is the teams that are targeting the classics that will do well. And it's not them, but Martinez has definitely saved them. And I think it's B or C. Let's put them at the top of C, if I can do that. There we go. We'll put them at the top of C. And it's in a similar boat. They've probably had a marginally better time than Astana because it's across 2 races. But them two are pretty close. Which, to be fair, you shouldn't be saying about a team like Bahrain Victorious. They should be outperforming Astana. So we'll switch them back. Now for Decathlon. They have had a good start to the year, which let's face it, they needed it. They had that budget jump. There's been money pumped in. I don't want to say they used excuses of budget before. Like, I didn't really hear much come out being like, we don't have the budget, but they've got that budget now. They're in a higher tier of spending. They have to justify that to their sponsor, and they have to do it this year and maybe next year at absolute latest. And they've made a decent start to that. Didn't get many wins, but they were there or thereabouts, which I think is good enough to justify to the sponsor at the start of this year that they will get there. As for what they did, Sexas went well in Strada. He finished P2. P3 on the team time trial in Paris-Nice on stage 3. Bol got a podium on stage 7. Anderson got a stage win in Tirreno on stage 3. Isidore got a P2 on stage 2 of that race. Felix Gall got... Isidore might have been at Catalunya, actually. Felix Gall got P2 on stage 5. De Wolf got 4th at E3, which isn't anything to write home about, but it's noteworthy enough that someone like that got up. And then 2nd at Flanders Field with Tobias Lund Andersen. Like, that is worth it. He got up, he got it all done, and that is a very good result for that team. With all that in mind, they probably would have wanted another win or 2 in there just to have like that next level. But I do think they belong in the B tier. They got enough results across everything to probably justify that tier. Especially with how dominant a couple of teams were across these periods. It's hard to judge everything off of winning races, but they were 2nd and 3rd and got a couple of wins as well. So I think they'll be happy. They'll take B, and be quite okay with how they started their year. And with that, we'll pivot straight into EF Education first. If I find my notes, there we go. Luc Lamperti, he had a very strong Nice. Just jumping all over the shop. He got a victory on stage 1. and was just present throughout. They'll also have been very happy with Steinhauser, had a strong Paris-Nice, got P3 on the GC and wins the white jersey ahead of Kevin Vauquelin, who you would argue should have been beating him in terms of pre-race favourites and stuff like that. So on top of that, Valgren got a stage win in Tirreno and Hobbs got a third place on stage 3 in Catalonia. It's nothing crazy, but a couple of wins and a strong GC performance from Steinhauser. You'd think they're looking forward to April rather than sticking in March and like really wanting to push that kind of thing. I think they'll be quite happy with what they've got there, but I also think it's nothing crazy. Again, it's that C or B, and I don't know which. There's a lot of teams in this C or B right now. Let's put them at the back end of... Let's put them at the top end of C. I say top end. It doesn't really matter. I'll move them if I feel I need to. Immediately, we'll go to Groupama FDJ. I don't even know if they're called that anymore, but, you know. Groupama, where are we? So working out why I couldn't find them in my notes was because I didn't have any for them. They had an absolute, I don't want to say a shocker, but like they just weren't present. They just weren't doing anything, and I think I can justify a D without too much explanation. They got one win, and it was at Fourn-Andron Classic, or whatever it's called, with Gregoire. It just wasn't anything crazy. Moving on to Ineos, who will be very happy with their month. They, stay with me here, time trial win on stage 3 of Paris-Nice. Godon was strong throughout Paris-Nice, but didn't quite get anything too crazy. Got a stage 1 on stage 7, P2 on stage 6. Vauquelin got P4 on the GC in Paris-Nice and a couple of strong results. Godon also got second in the green jersey at Paris-Nice. In Tirreno, they got a 1-2-4 on stage 1, which was a time trial, which Gunner got P1, Ironsman P2, Sheffield P4. Welsford got a stage win on stage 7 at... Oh, no, sorry, P2 on stage 7. Catalonia, now Godon got a stage win again on stage 3. P2 on stage 4 and a P2 on stage 7. He also got second or won the sprint jersey in Catalonia. That's Godon. So just a consistent kind of ride across, and then Ghana got plenty of kind of airtime on other things, which obviously doesn't buy in, but on the classics they weren't awful. So I think we can safely put them in A tier for a team that's had the budget but not performed the way they needed to. They needed a big start to the year, and quite frankly, they've had an incredible start. And that will assist them going into the next phases of having some success in stage races. And they should hopefully do pretty well in the hilly classics, but that's next month, so we'll see about that when it happens. Jayco Alula have not had a great time at the same thing. They had lots of success in Bartoli, Coppa di Bartoli, or whatever it's called, with Mara Schmid, and then a P5 in Flanders Field. That is pretty much it. They've underperformed. I know they don't have any massive leaders there, but realistically, that they should have done better either in the stage races or the classic season. Where they were was not good enough. Liedel Trek would have been optimistic of getting some good results going into this, with Milan, Pedersen. I believe they still have Vacek. But they got 4th in San Remo with Pedersen, 2nd on the team time trial at Nice, P3 and 5 in Tirreno on a stage. Milano won a stage in Tirreno, and then a climbers jersey win in Catalunya with Ciccone, but no notable results in the classics, really, which when you've got Milan and Pedersen, you really should be getting something, but they just didn't. So I think for how they're structured, it probably wouldn't be unfair to put them in D, but I think for now, I think there's probably going to be a few teams that have done worse. They still got some stage wins, and they had a strong enough time. They just really would have liked to have been stronger throughout. Lotto is a weird one. I'm yet to work out what they're actually good at. Like, I don't know what they're going for, but Dali got 4th in Flanders Fields. They got 2 P2s, one with Breit in Stage 1 at Paris-Nice, one in Stage 3 at Tirreno with Dali. Not gotten a win or a good win in there. I think we can put them there and not think about it again. Speaking of teams we put in D category, let's talk about Movistar. He got a P3. Movistar got a P3 on Stage 1 of Paris-Nice, and I have no other notes for them. I know this isn't their time of year particularly, like it's classic season, and they're not overly into that, but there was still Paris-Nice, Tirreno-Adriatico, Catalunya. They should have got something, especially in Catalunya. So let's just ditch them there and not think about it again. Which basically Movistar is why I can't put Lead or Trek down there. I can't put them on the same level. NSN now, they had a really weird time of it. Like, they got 3rd in La Samane, P3 on Stage 6, P2 on Stage 7, both of those at Paris-Nice, Vernon P2 on Stage 3 at Catalunya, stage win at Catalunya on Stage 4 with Ethan Vernon, Gilmore Stage 7 win in Catalunya. So they had a strong Catalunya. Binny and Gamay should be getting better results than he did, is the flat fact of it. I know nothing suited him overly well, but you'd think he got something somewhere rather than just a P2 in Nice. Probably good enough to go there just with the other results, but still not the strongest thing he's done. Picnic, post NL. I think it's pretty safe to put Picnic post NL down here and not talk about it again. I don't think I saw them. I don't know what they were doing. Yeah, I don't have any memory. I don't have any notes. They have no wins. Like, it's just put them there and forget about them, I think. Moving to Soudal Quick Step. Now, historically, this has been a strong period for them with the classics, but I'm not sure they actually got much this time. Like, it wasn't awful, but it wasn't anything crazy. Like, Paris-Pantra got a Stage 5 victory, I think, at Paris-Nice. Stuyven got P3 on Stage 2 at Paris-Nice. Rex got P3 on Stage 7 at Tirreno. That's about it. And for a team that's set up to get some results in this period, I think we can put them here. And not think about it too much, because they didn't have the time they needed to have in this period. So it's just a bit poor for them, but has to happen. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe, they had some pretty decent time of it. Like, they got a win at La Samane. Jordi Muse got that one. Lawrence Pithy got P2 at Stage 2 of Paris-Nice. They got P2, 3, 4 in Stage 4 of Paris-Nice. Both Van Dijks and Martinez only beaten by Vingegaard, which it's just going to happen at that point. Martinez got P2 in the GC. of that race. Pellizzari got a P2 on stage 2 and 4 of Tirreno. Pellizzari also got P3 in the GC and green jersey, and then P2 in the Young Riders jersey. Remco got a P2 on stage 1 of Catalunya. Lipovic got a P3 on stage 6, and Remco got a P3 on stage 7, and Lipovic got P3 in the GC at Catalunya. They would have liked to do a little bit more at some of the classics and stuff like that, but I think they can't be too mad. They did well in both Tirreno and Nice, so I think they can pretty safely go there and be happy enough with their days out. We'll go to Uno X and then we'll do Visma and UAE, because that's realistically the big battle. So Uno X is somewhere. There we go. Abrahamson went the distance at E3 into the final group. I don't think he got a massive result there, but for a team like Uno X, they'll be happy he was there. Tobias Johannesson got a P3 on stage 4 at Tirreno and got a P2 on stage 6 at Tirreno. He also got P4 in the GC and P2 in the sprint jersey. And then Magnus Cort got a stage 2 win in Catalunya. Now, it's nothing mental, but being there or thereabouts for a team like that is honestly pretty much enough. Getting good results and points and that kind of thing is what they're looking to do. So I think I wouldn't feel awful about putting them there. Oh, they didn't get wins, so they probably do have to jump back. And I'll probably do that. No, not them, sorry. Astana had a really strong time for how useless I think they are, quite frankly. But UAE Team Emirates is our next ones. They obviously will be looking to have some incredible results here. But they had the Soler doping scandal kind of come in. We'll see where that ends up. Pogacar got a win in Strade Bianche. Del Toro got third. Poggi won in San Remo. Vermeersch got P3 at E3. Del Toro got P2 in both stage 2 and 5. And won stage 6, all of those at Tirreno. And Del Toro got yellow and white jersey and the sprinters jersey in Tirreno. I'm sure they're not those colours, but you get the point. GC, white jersey, and sprinters jersey. It's very, very strong, but probably only here, because I think there can only really be one team going in S, and it has to be Visma Leasebike for this period. Just reading down this, caught up very late, could have won late on La Semaine. Van Aert also punctured late at La Semaine, so probably could have gotten something a bit better. Brennan won in KBK. Wout got P3 at San Remo. Hageners P2 at E3. They got P3 in Flanders Field. Stage 4 stage win. Stage 5 stage win at Nice. P2 on stage 8 for Vingegaard. Vingegaard got GC points and climbers jerseys in Paris-Nice. Jorgensen got P3 and on both stage 4 and 6 of Tirreno. And then in Catalunya, they got stage wins on stage 5 and 6 and a GC win with Vingegaard. They basically did strong at everything they went to. They would have liked a little bit more out of Wout, but dominating both Paris-Nice and Catalunya and getting 2 solid results at Tirreno, I think they had the best time of it. They weren't crazy levels targeting the rest of everything. So I think that does it for us this time. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you'd change around. Who do you think had a better month than I gave them credit for? There's a few close calls between B's and A's and B's and C's, but I think they're all around where they should be. So yeah, Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and let me know how you would have ranked these instead. See you soon.